Demons, Myths, Legends, and History. Written by KIV Books. Narrated by Tom Chandler. Introduction. Have you always been curious about demons and where they came from? Do you wish to understand the mythology and history that has shaped how we view demons today? If yes, read on, because this book will answer all your demon-related questions. Demons have been part of human history ever since we began believing in the concept of goodness by God. They are often depicted as evil, supernatural entities and have been majorly featured in religious texts, most famously in the Christian Bible. However, demons have not always existed. So if you have the following questions: what are demons? Where did demons come from? Are there different kinds of demons? Where do demons reside? And many more, then wonder no more. In this book, we will cover what are demons and their origins, demons as depicted in religious texts, majorly the Bible, demons outside religious texts, most well-known demons and their powers, and so much more. Let's begin in earnest. Chapter 1. What are demons, and where did they come from? In the modern-day definition, a demon is a supernatural entity, often considered harmful because of its intent to spread evil. According to Christian demonology, the study of demons from a Christian point of view, which has shaped how we view demons these days, demons' main purpose is to turn people away from God and toward the devil, the king of hell. However, a demon has not always been about evil. The name demon came from the Greek word daimon, which referred to a supernatural being or spirit that was neither evil nor good. Daimon only referred to a spiritual being that influenced a person's character, whether for good or bad. Now, according to Britannica, the Greeks had a name for a good demon, agathos daimon, which meant good spirit. The agathos daimon was benevolent in its relations with human beings. Greek philosopher Socrates spoke of his daimon and referred to it as the spirit that inspired him to seek and speak the truth. However, there were times when daimons were viewed as entities that caused disease, or sometimes looked at as the diseases themselves. They could also possess people and cause madness. However, they were generally still viewed as exclusively good. Indeed, some daimons were minor gods in ancient Greek. In his journal, When Did Angels Become Demons?, New Testament scholar Dale Basil Martin noted that when ancient scribes translated the original Hebrew Bible into Greek, they used the term daimon to refer to different concepts, such as pagan gods, diseases, and human-animal hybrids. However, they never mentioned demons as being fallen angels. This was, as Martin said, because to Greek-speaking Jews, daimons were not angels in their own religion, but rather gods of other nations. Secondly, the translators may have wanted to avoid suggesting that angels were like minor gods, which could have led to the worshiping of angels, a forbidden thing in the Bible. Another ancient Indo-Iranian religion, from which came Zoroastrianism, related to early Hinduism, also considered devas, from which the name devils comes, as evil entities. On the other hand, early Hinduism thought the devas were ancient gods and thus were forces for good. Instead, they considered the evil entities asuras. Meanwhile, in Zoroastrianism, a similar-sounding word, ahuras, were what they considered as benevolent spirits. Indeed, they were the good lords in Zoroastrianism. Demons in the Bible. The Bible mentions the word demon unequivocally to relate to evil. In Matthew chapter 8, verses 28 to 29 and 32, two demon-possessed men whom Jesus restores are considered very violent, such that no person could pass close by to them. Quoting from the story, "When he, that is Jesus, arrived at the other side in the region of Gadarenes, two demon-possessed men coming from the tombs met him. They were so violent that no one could pass that way. "What do you want with us, Son of God?" they shouted. "Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time?" He said to them, "Go!" So they came out and went into the pigs, and the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and died in the water. The origins of demons in the Bible began after Lucifer, an archangel of God and one of God's best angels, rebelled, and God cast him out of heaven. From the New Testament book of Revelations, chapter 12, verses 7 to 9, "And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." Thus, the devil's angels who fell with him became demons, something also referenced in several other books in the Bible. For example, in the New Testament book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 6, "And the angels who did not keep their positions of authority, but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day." From the New Testament book of 2 Peter, chapter 2, verse 4, "For if God did not spare angels when they sinned, but sent them to hell, putting them in chains of darkness to be held for judgment." But what would make God cast out angels from heaven? Well, the first obvious answer is that Lucifer and his legion, who became the 7 princes of hell, rebelled against the Lord. Lucifer became too prideful and wanted to take over God's throne. In the Old Testament book of Isaiah, chapter 14, verse 12, we read this, "How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations?" But God also cast out angels from heaven when they went against what he required. For example, angels were never to marry or to be married. However, some angels fell in love with humans and began mating with them, which made God angry, and he cast them from the heavens. We read in the first book of the Bible, Genesis chapter 6, verses 1 to 4, "And it came to pass, when the men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of God," that is, the angels, "saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them as wives of all which they chose. And the Lord said, My spirit shall not always strive with man, for that he also is flesh. Yet his days shall be 120 years. Now there were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bare children to them. The same became mighty men which were of old, men of renown." Chapter 2. Satan, the Adversary. In the 3 major Abrahamic religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, Satan is the king of hell, the controller of all evil spirits, and God's biggest adversary. In English, the word Satan is a transliteration of the word adversary in Hebrew. Indeed, in the early Hebrew Bible, the adversary was not a single evil entity. In the Hebrew Bible, the name was Ha-Satan, which meant the adversary. Thus, anyone, from a human being to an angel, could be Ha-Satan, depending on the context. However, the name soon evolved to describe his eventual purpose as the chief antagonist of God and his creation. The Greek described him as diabolos, which translated to accuser or slanderer in English. Satan later became the heavenly prosecutor and a subordinate to Yahweh, that is God, and was the one who prosecuted the nation of Judah in the heavenly court. He is also tasked with testing the loyalty of Yahweh's followers. We see this very clearly when Satan appears in the presence of God, and God grants him the power to test Job, one of God's most faithful followers. From Job chapter 1, verses 6 to 12, "One day the angels came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan also came with them. The Lord said to Satan, "Where have you come from?" Satan answered the Lord, "From roaming throughout the earth, going back and forth on it." Then the Lord said to Satan, "Have you considered my servant Job? There is no one on earth like him. He is blameless and upright, a man who fears God and shuns evil." "Does Job fear God for nothing?" Satan replied. "Have you not put a hedge around him and his household and everything he has? You have blessed the work of his hands, so that his flocks and herds are spread throughout the land. But now, stretch out your hand and strike everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face." The Lord said to Satan, "Very well, then. Everything he has is in your power, but on the man himself do not lay a finger." Then Satan went out from the presence of the Lord. This is also present in Islam, where in Quran 727 and in 1983, the devil and his allies are sent to non-believers. "O children of Adam, let not Satan tempt you as he removed your parents from paradise, stripping them of their clothing to show them their private parts. Indeed, he sees you, he and his tribe, from where you do not see them. Indeed, we have made the devil's allies to those who do not believe." And 1983, "Do you not see that we have sent the devils upon the disbelievers, inciting them to evil with constant incitement?" Shaitans in Islam. According to Britannica, in pre-Islamic Arab folklore, shaitan, or Iblis, the devil, is part of an unbelieving class of spirits called the jinn. In the folklore, there are several shaitans, with Arab folklore describing them as hideous creatures that could either be male or female, capable of assuming human form even though their feet would retain their usual hoof form. These creatures would often eat excrement and spread disease. However, in the folklore, the shaitans were not particularly antagonistic to God. They existed on the borderline between light and darkness. However, in the Quran, they take on the role of the devil, something borrowed from the Judaic tradition. Like in the Bible, the devil, now called Ash-Shaitan, and his other shaitans or demons, whisper evil to man, but have no real power over men. Thus, Satan's role is to test the loyalty of God's followers to God himself, which means that nothing Satan does is truly by his powers. Even though the origin story of Adam and Eve, the serpent that tempted Eve, though it is not explicitly called Satan, performs the role of trying to turn Eve and Adam away from the Lord, and succeeds in doing that. From Genesis chapter 3, verses 1 to 4. "Now the serpent was more cunning than any beast of the field which the Lord God had made. And he said to the woman, 'Has God indeed said, You shall not eat of every tree of the garden?' And the woman said to the serpent, 'We may eat the fruit of the trees of the garden, but of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, You shall not eat it, nor shall you touch it, lest you die.' Then the serpent said to the woman, 'You will not surely die, for God knows that in the day you eat of it your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil.'" Once Adam and Eve fall short of God's glory, he chases them away from the Garden of Eden and curses them all, Adam, Eve, and the serpent. And thus evil upon humankind is born from this. While evil had existed before, God had created Adam and Eve as pure. Their sinning changed that. We also see the devil play his role as the tempter when he tries to get Jesus, the Lord's Son, to worship him in exchange for several promises. Since Jesus is God's Son, we know that the devil is not tempting him by his power, but with permission from God, as was the case with Job. Indeed, at the start, a spirit, which we can interpret as the Holy Spirit, leads Jesus into the wilderness for the temptation. From the New Testament book of Matthew, chapter 4, verses 1 to 11, "Then Jesus was led up by the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, afterwards he was hungry. Now, when the tempter came to him, he said, 'If you are the Son of God, command that these stones become bread.' But he answered and said, 'It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God.' Then the devil took him up into the holy city, set him on the pinnacle of the temple, and said to him, 'If you are the Son of God, throw yourself down. For it is written, He shall give His angels charge over you, and in their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone.' Jesus said to him, 'It is written again, You shall not tempt the Lord your God.' Again, the devil took him up on an exceedingly high mountain and showed him all the kingdoms of the world in their glory. And he said to him, 'All these things I will give you if you will fall down and worship me.' Then Jesus said to him, 'Away with you, Satan! For it is written, You shall worship the Lord your God, and Him only shall you serve.' Then the devil left him, and behold, angels came and ministered to him." How Satan came to be. Evil has not always existed. Surprisingly, when God created the universe, He made it so that everything was good. As it says in Genesis 1:31, God saw all that He had made, and it was very good, and there was evening and there was morning, the sixth day. Thus, God did not create evil in the world. Instead, evil came to be after one of His angels, Lucifer, the morning star, became too prideful and attempted to usurp God's power and take over His throne. Lucifer and his legions caused a war to break out in heaven, which resulted in their banishment from the Lord's mountain. As it says in Revelation chapter 12, verses 7 to 12, "And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail, nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." The angels cast out with the devil would then become demons, Satan's assistants in the temptation of humans. The full context on why Lucifer, who had been a cherub, a high-ranking angel who directly served God in heaven, was thrown out is in Ezekiel chapter 28, verses 11 to 19. This verse refers to a, quote, king of Tyre, but biblical scholars interpret the text highlighted below as showing that the king of Tyre could have been the devil. "The word of the Lord came to me, Son of man, take up a lament concerning the king of Tyre, and say to him, This is what the sovereign Lord says. You were the seal of perfection, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You were in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone adorned you, carnelian, chrysotile and emerald, topaz, onyx and jasper, lapis lazuli, turquoise and beryl. Your settings and mountings were made of gold. On the day you were created, they were prepared. You were anointed as the guardian cherub, for so I ordained you. You were on the holy mount of God. You walked among fiery stones. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created till wickedness was found in you. Through your widespread trade you were filled with violence, and you sinned. So I drove you in disgrace from the mount of God, and I expelled you, guardian cherub, from among the fiery stones. Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor. So I threw you to the earth. I made a spectacle of you before kings. By your many sins and dishonest trade, you have desecrated your sanctuaries. So I made a fire come out from it, and it consumed you, and I reduced you to ashes on the ground in the sight of all who were watching. All the nations who knew you are appalled at you. You have come to a horrible end, and will be no more." We can interpret this as the devil being cast out of heaven for becoming too prideful and becoming too absorbed by his beauty, which led to him then falling out of the desires of God. Once Lucifer and his angels were cast down to earth, they became antagonists to God. We read in Jude chapter 1, verse 6, "And the angels who did not keep their positions of authority, but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he, that is God, has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains for judgment on the great day." We can interpret the darkness as hell, where the fallen angels also wait for their judgment. But, as we have seen, God permits Satan and his demons to tempt or deceive people who have not turned towards the Lord. However, they do not have any power over people under the Lord's protection. As we see in the story of Job, while God can grant Satan power over things around an anointed person, demons will not possess or harm believers. In hell, as was in heaven, the devil also has his own 7 princes of hell, the highest-ranking demons. While there is no direct reference to the 7 princes of hell in the Bible, there is a reference to some of their names, but not as 7 princes of hell. Demonology has explained who they are and what they represent. According to mythologies around demons, these fallen angels were believed to have been the cause of different types of calamities, whether natural or accidental. So, these fallen angels were agents of disease, war, famine, earthquakes, accidental deaths, and other types of emotional and mental disorders. Indeed, this could explain why people who suffered from mental disorders were considered demon-possessed. Chapter 3. The 7 Princes of Hell. Like heaven, hell also has 7 higher-ranked demons with more authority than other demons. These demons were initially very high-ranking angels. The demonic paradise says that during their time in heaven, they developed a close friendship with one another and bonded over certain topics. These angels were among God's best, and they were revered and praised, with some even being chiefs of the choirs in which they sang. However, as we saw in Ezekiel 28, one of these leading angels, Lucifer, became too proud of this high rank and declared war against God. "You were anointed as the guardian cherub, for so I ordained you. You were on the holy mount of God. You walked among fiery stones." Ezekiel 28:14. And verse 17, "Your heart became proud on account of your beauty, and you corrupted your wisdom because of your splendor. So I threw you to the earth. I made a spectacle of you before kings." These other angels who had become close to Lucifer united as the leading forces for Lucifer's army of rebellious angels. Mythology states that some angels rebelled for personal reasons and beliefs, not simply because they believed in Lucifer's offer. After the war broke out, Lucifer, his 7 rebel angels, and others individually fought some of God's mightiest angels, including Archangel Michael, who was God's highest-ranking archangel. But they could not manage to overpower God's angels, which led to their casting out of heaven, a part captured in the Bible. "And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought with the dragon, and the dragon and his angels fought, but they did not prevail. Nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer. So the great dragon was cast out, that serpent of old called the devil and Satan, who deceives the whole world. He was cast to the earth, and his angels were cast out with him." After getting cast out of heaven, these demons developed a fierce antagonistic relationship with other angels and God. Thus began their lifetime of trying to get humanity to turn away from God and towards Satan. According to the demon's mythology, these rebel angels were injured horribly during their fight with the archangels, leaving scars on their bodies, which served as reminders of their sins. These 7 princes of hell are Lucifer, Belphegor, Mammon, Beelzebub, Satan, Leviathan, and Asmodeus. Lucifer. In Hebrew, the name Lucifer means the morning star. In many Bible versions, the morning star changes characters and meaning. However, the interpretation of Lucifer as the devil comes in this verse in Isaiah 14:12 in the KJV. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Revelation 9:1 also mentions a star that fell from heaven to earth and was given the keys to a bottomless pit. I saw a star fallen from heaven to earth, and he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit. These passages then shape the Lucifer demon beyond the Bible. Demonology myths note that Lucifer was a twin brother to Archangel Michael and regarded as the wisest, greatest, and most beautiful angel God created. These mythologies go as far as stating that only God was superior to Lucifer. This high rank caused Lucifer to be prideful and thus rebel against God, resulting in the fight in heaven that ended with him and his fellow rebels getting cast out of heaven. Since God banished him from heaven to the bottomless pit, Lucifer, in his true form, shifted from the immense beauty he had to a burnt appearance. Quoting from the demonic paradise, however, his wings shifted into various shades of dark red during his rebellious stage and later became shades of black when he fully rebelled. His wings were burnt off during his fall and mutated into large red chiropteran wings. Chiropteran wings are made from clear skin, like wings of a bat. End quote. However, Lucifer can take different forms, since he is the deceiver, like the serpent referenced in Genesis when he deceives Eve. You will not certainly die, the serpent said to the woman, for God knows that when you eat from it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. He can also assume human form, where he is described as very beautiful and handsome. Quote, his facial features are extremely well defined, stated to be perfect, like a marble statue, and being picturesque and like a painting. The demonic paradise. His eyes are golden, but turn into a fiery red color whenever he is enraged. His good looks and charm make him the master of deceit, as he uses them to get people to trust him so he can lead them astray. Belphegor. Belphegor according to demonic paradise. In some versions, the Bible mentions Belphegor as the god Baal Peor, or Baal of Peor, the god of Peor, a Moabite god whom the Israelites became attached to. Numbers 25:3, so the Israelites yoked themselves to the Baal of Peor, and the Lord's anger burned against them. There is no other mention of Belphegor in the Bible, and much of what is said about this demon comes from demonology books, with many never considered canon by mainstream religion. According to the demonic paradise, Belphegor was part of the choir of principalities, the third choir of the third angelic sphere, below angels and archangels. However, he did not do much of his angelic duties and preferred to laze around in heaven's luxuries. As he did, he would also craft strange and intricate objects from every material he could find, thus making him a master of inventions. Belphegor did not initially join Lucifer in rebelling when war broke out. However, he also did not take God's side either, which earned him a cast-down to the fiery pit. The demonology book Infernal Dictionary, written in 1818 by French occultist Jacques-Auguste Simon Corin de Plancy, is a major reference point on the much we know about Belphegor. Plancy describes Belphegor as the demon who promises wealth and gives people ingenious ideas and inventions. He writes, quote, the Moabites, who called him Baal Figor, worshipped him on Mount Figor or Mount Peor. Some rabbis say that one renders homage to him on a toilet, and that one offers him the ignoble resides of one's digestion. As mentioned, he gives people ideas for inventions, and some of the inventions might be illogical structures and alien geometries. According to the demonic paradise, these inventions are often capable of incredible feats. However, they will also cause people to grow progressively slothful over time. Thus, this is why the demon is associated with sloth. Mammon. Mammon, as per Gods and Demons, Wikipedia. Mammon is a fallen angel who is a personification of greed. According to demonology myths, he is a noble demon who is the lord of riches, abundance, avarice, wealth, prosperity, and injustice. The Bible mentions Mammon as one of two masters that a human being cannot serve. Matthew 6:24, Jesus says, "No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and Mammon." In Luke chapter 16, verses 9 to 13, the longer version of the Matthew verse, also mentions this. Jesus says, "And I say unto you, make to yourselves friends of the mammon of unrighteousness, that when ye fail, they may receive you into everlasting habitations. He that is faithful also in much, and he that is unjust in the least, is unjust also in much. If therefore ye have not been faithful in the unrighteous mammon, who will commit to your trust the true riches? And if ye have not been faithful in that which is another man's, who shall give you that which is your own? No servant can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold to the one and despise the other. Ye cannot serve God and Mammon." The Britannica states that medieval writers interpreted it as an evil demon or god, though in the Bible, Mammon is used as a debasing word for the greed for material wealth. This interpretation then saw Mammon evolve from an abstract concept to a fully formed, personified, fallen angels. Scholars such as St. John Chrysostom, Peter Lombard, and St. Gregory of Nyssa shaped the belief that Mammon was a demon, according to Britannica. The demonic paradise notes that he has a wolf-like appearance because wolves were often associated with greed in the Middle Ages. He is said to have skin made of golden material, but with scorched marks all across it. He has spikes jutting out of his elbows, 2 other spikes from his shoulder blades, and his head has no visible lips, allowing his teeth to be visible. His wings are a faded black color. During his time in heaven, demonology myths note that Mammon was depicted as forever looking at heaven's golden pavements rather than at God himself. Indeed, the mythology states that Mammon never truly cared for Lucifer's rebellion, but cared more about material wealth, leading Angel Gabriel to cast him out of heaven. From the demonic paradise, after the rebellion in heaven, Mammon was banished to hell, where he finds precious underground metal that his demonic companions used to build their capital city, Pandemonium, by Lucifer's order. Beelzebub, as per the demonic paradise. Beelzebub was formerly known as Triel or Yaphiel, and was a former seraph who then turned into a high-ranking demon after joining Lucifer in his rebellion against God. According to the demonic paradise, he is one of the supreme monarchs of the Inferno, as he, Satan, and Lucifer form the Trinity of Hell. The Bible mentions Beelzebub in 2 Kings chapter 1, verses 1 to 18, as the god of Ekron, who the Philistines worship. Quote, "After Ahab's death, Moab rebelled against Israel. Now Ahaziah had fallen through the lattice of his upper room in Samaria and injured himself. So he sent messengers, saying to them, 'Go and consult Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron, to see if I will recover from this injury.' But the angel of the Lord said to Elijah the Tishbite, 'Go up and meet the messengers of the king of Samaria, and ask them, Is it because there is no God in Israel that you are going off to consult Baal-zebub, the god of Ekron? Therefore this is what the Lord says, You will not leave the bed you are lying on, you will certainly die.' So Elijah went." This is the only book in the Bible that mentions Beelzebub. However, like with many other demons, scholars and demonologists have expounded on Beelzebub outside the Bible. According to the Infernal Dictionary, Beelzebub was created shortly after the creation of heaven and earth, making him one of the oldest angels. He had been part of Lucifer's order, meaning he was part of the morning star's choir. When war broke out in heaven, Lucifer, having trusted Beelzebub, chose him as his second in command. His fall from heaven, along with the other three major demons, Lucifer and Satan, created an abyss that we now know as hell. In hell, the three encounter what is called the prime evil. According to the demonic paradise, prime evils are ancient demonic beings regarded as the personification of the negative concept that led to the conflict in heaven. In short, they are the physical manifestation of the very concept of war and death. Along with Lucifer and Satan, Beelzebub fought the prime evils, defeated them, and banished them from hell and further down into the bottomless pit, the abyss. Thus, Beelzebub, Lucifer, and Satan took over hell and made it their domain. Beelzebub is described as a withered and hunched creature with either red or purple skin, ram horns, and a forked tongue. He also has a long tail and large, powerful wings. Judeo-Christian traditions and beliefs state that Beelzebub began his demonic career as a false god, as we saw in 2 Kings. He would manipulate people with earthly rewards to convince them to worship false gods, including himself. This led to the story in 2 Kings, where God sends Elijah to the king, who seeks help from Beelzebub to inform him of his death. As one of the most powerful demons, Beelzebub specializes in possession. Satan. Satan, the most famous demon, is perhaps the most referred to demon in the Bible. Formerly known as Shamael, he is God's chief adversary in Abrahamic religions, especially Christianity. He is the king of demons and part of the 7 princes of hell. Chapter 2 covers most of what you need to know about Satan. Leviathan, from the demon paradise. Also called Leviathan, this demon governs envy, chaos, and the sea. The Bible has multiple references to the Leviathan, often related to the sea. For example, in Psalm 74, verse 14, "You crushed the heads of Leviathan, you gave him food for the creatures of the wilderness." And in Isaiah 27, verse 1, "In that day the Lord, with his sore and great and strong sword, shall punish Leviathan the piercing serpent, even Leviathan the crooked serpent, and he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea." According to mythology.net, God killed the female Leviathan to preserve the lives of all other creatures. The creature was becoming too strong. Thus, Yahweh himself descended from heaven. After a struggle with the powerful Leviathan, he manages to kill it and save his creation from destruction. Bitter because of losing his companion, the male Leviathan is waiting for the end times to battle with Yahweh. The origins of the Leviathan are in pre-biblical Mesopotamian myth, according to the Britannica, which was an explanation for the sea waves and disturbances. In demonology, the Leviathan is a gatekeeper in hell and is not a fallen angel, though he is part of the 7 princes of hell. The mythology states that he came to be at the climax of the war in heaven. Leviathan breached the walls of paradise and made his way towards the moon, intending to destroy it. However, a cherub named Jophiel, who helped chase Adam and Eve out of the Garden of Eden, noticed, took up her sword, and attacked the Leviathan. She forced the creature to flee due to the sheer pain. A piece of skin that fell off from it fell at the same time as Lucifer and his angels were defeated and cast out of paradise. In the mixture of the heavenly fire and water chaos, the torn piece of the Leviathan took a life of its own and named itself Leviathan. Lucifer and other fallen angels were initially cautious about the Leviathan after waking from their fall from heaven. It says in demonic paradise, "The other fallen angels, however, upon noticing Leviathan, were cautious and wary of this new guest, especially since they had to deal with the primevals. However, Lucifer was curious about him, and the Leviathan impressed Lucifer with his ability to learn quickly, thus getting absorbed into the ranks of hell." After the defeat of the primeval, Leviathan became one of the 7 princes of hell, becoming the Lord of Envy. According to the demonic paradise, as a gatekeeper to hell, his own body serves as its own realm of hell. It preys on souls that try to flee from the inferno, sucking them inside his stomach, where they burn forever. According to mythology.net, Leviathan legend states that the creature was of unknown size because it was too big for mankind to comprehend. Perhaps this characteristic is the secret that makes him hell's best gatekeeper, because he can cover large spaces at once. The myths further state that the creature had several armored scales that protected its flesh. It was also said to be a beautiful creature, possessing a fluorescent nature that gave it a beautiful glow. The Leviathan could also breathe fire once its head broke the surface of the water where it lived. Asmodeus. Asmodeus is a ruthless, brutal monster whose nature appears in the apocryphal book of Tobit, where he kills 7 successive husbands of a woman out of jealous rage. From Tobit chapter 3, verse 8, because she had been married to 7 husbands, whom Asmodeus the evil spirit had killed before they had lain with her. Dost thou not know, said they, that thou hast strangled thine husbands? Thou hast had already 7 husbands, neither wast thou named after any of them. This verse shaped the origins of Asmodeus as the demon of lust. Demonology states that his former model was an angel as Asmodel and was in the cherubim order. His description is a demon with 3 heads, a sheep, a bull, and one like a man. He also has feathered legs like a cock and a scaly tail like a serpent. He also had the head of a lion, but it was torn off during the war in heaven. The lion torn from his body grew wings and became the creature he rides. Asmodeus joined Lucifer's rebelling army but was defeated by Archangel Raphael. Raphael, it is said, tore apart the lion part of Asmodeus' body and cast him out of heaven with the others. His injuries almost resulted in eternal death, but he managed to recover and join the ranks of hell. As the demon for lust, Asmodeus is responsible for twisting people's sexual desires, making them perverted and repulsive. According to the demonic paradise, anyone who succumbs to Asmodeus's ways will suffer for an eternity in hell. According to demonology, Asmodeus also dabbles in other sins. Quote, he has hundreds of legions of demons under his command. He incited gambling and is the overseer of the gambling houses in the court of hell. He is also a demon of lechery, anger, jealousy, and revenge. And according to mythology.net, quote, although lust is Asmodeus's bread and butter, he is said to lord over numerous gambling houses, and he delights in revenge. Scholars say Asmodeus was derived from Ishma Deva, a wrathful demon in the Persian Zoroastrian mythos in the 9th century BCE. He also later appears in the Talmud and the Testament of Solomon as one of the demons forced to help build Solomon's temple according to the Testament. However, Asmodeus soon falls in love with Solomon's wives, throws Solomon out of his kingdom, and takes over his palace, including the wives. Solomon eventually returns and drives him out. Chapter 4. Other prominent demons in hell. The 7 princes of hell are not the only demons in hell. Other demons also play a prominent role in hell: Abaddon, Azazel, Dagon, Meruhem, Pythias, Baal, Belial, Mephistopheles, Ammon or Amayan, Levistus, and Dis are the other prominent demons from hell. Abaddon. In the Bible, Abaddon refers to an entity that causes great destruction. In Revelation chapter 9, verse 11, they had as king over them the angel of the abyss, whose name in Hebrew is Abaddon, and in Greek is Apollyon, that is, destroyer. We also catch names of the place called Abaddon, which is the realm of the demon himself. In Job chapter 26, verse 6, Sheol is naked before God, and Abaddon has no covering. Sheol refers to the underworld, as other Bible versions use that rather than Sheol, with Abaddon being the place of destruction. During the apocalypse in Revelation, the build-up to the emergence of Abaddon shows that he moves around with a group of locusts ready for the final battle. The locusts are strange and nothing like the locusts we know. It says, "The locusts looked like horses prepared for battle. On their heads they wore something like crowns of gold, and their faces resembled human faces. Their hair was like women's hair, and their teeth were like lions' teeth. They had breastplates of iron, and the sound of their wings was like the thundering of many horses and chariots rushing into battle. They had tails with stingers like scorpions, and in their tails they had power to torment people for 5 months." Demonology often depicts him as a large humanoid creature with features of a locust and leads a swarm of locusts with him around. The myths state that Abaddon was called Muriel and was an angel of God tasked with collecting the earth material that God would use to create Adam. Then, God later appointed him as the guardian of Adam. In texts such as the Greater Key of Solomon, he is reported to have been the one called by Moses to cause great rain during the 10 plagues of Egypt. Azazel. Azazel is a demon after losing his body in the desert. The name Azazel is not in the Bible to refer to the fallen angel, though the Day of Atonement in Leviticus 16 has some references. The name Azazel is only used in some Bible versions, with many versions using scapegoat in place of Azazel. For example, in verse 6 of Leviticus 16, Aaron is to offer the bull for his own sin, offering to make atonement for himself and his household. Then he is to take the 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the entrance of the tent of meeting. He is to cast lots for the 2 goats, 1 lot for the Lord, and the other for the scapegoat, Azazel. This passage created the mythology of Azazel being a desert demon to whom the ancient Israelites sacrificed a scapegoat on the day of Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the year in the Jewish calendar. The apocryphal book of 1 Enoch describes Azazel as one of the chief Grigori, a group of angels who married female human beings. Azazel was portrayed as the one responsible for teaching humans how to make weapons and cosmetics, for which he was cast out of heaven. Quote, "And Azazel taught men to make swords and knives and shields and breastplates, and made known to them the metals of the earth and the art of working them, and bracelets and ornaments, and the use of antimony, and the beautifying of the eyelids, and all kinds of costly stones, and all coloring tinctures. And there arose much godlessness, and they committed fornication, and they were led astray and became corrupt in all their ways." This corruption, the book says, degraded the human race, and God made the archangel Raphael, quote, "bind Azazel hand and foot and cast him into the darkness, and make an opening in the desert, which is in Dudael, and cast him therein. And place upon him rough and jagged rocks, and cover him with darkness, and let him abide there forever, and cover his face that he may not see light." He stayed in Dudael for so long that the jagged rocks of the desert tore his physical body away. Thus, the demonic paradise describes his face as a physical mass of darkness covered in mouths and eyes. Dagon. Dagon, or Dagon, is a demon believed to have been an archangel that fell from heaven, according to demonology and angelology. The Bible mentions him as the god of the Philistines. From 1 Samuel chapter 5, verses 1 to 3, "After the Philistines had captured the ark of God, they took it from Ebenezer to Ashdod. Then they carried the ark into Dagon's temple and set it beside Dagon. When the people of Ashdod rose early the next day, there was Dagon, fallen on his face on the ground before the ark of the Lord. They took Dagon and put him back in his place." Then from Judges chapter 16, verse 23, "Now the rulers of the Philistines assembled to offer a great sacrifice to Dagon their god, and celebrate, saying, 'Our God has delivered Samson, our enemy, into our hands.'" In Hebrew, the name Dagon was the common noun for grain, and they considered Dagon the god to be the inventor of the plow. Demonology depicts him as a man with the lower body of a fish. However, in his true demon form, he becomes a mixture of an octopus and fish, with several tentacles and black rubbery skin, with many unblinking eyes. He is reported to have been on Lucifer's side during the war in heaven and was thrown into the earth with the others. At some point, he went across Lucifer's orders and walked across the abyss, seeking to accumulate knowledge and power. As a result, he became a ravenous monster that devoured everything in its path. Merahem. In demonology, Merahem is also called the Red Death. According to the demonic paradise, he was once a beautiful angel and was part of God's destroyer angel. This means God often sent him alongside his legion to destroy his enemies. He was very violent and ruthless, often experiencing euphoria and ecstasy during the bloodbaths. Due to his thrill for bloodbaths, God had Michael throw him out of heaven, deforming him in the process. Quote, "Instead of the Almighty ending his existence outright, he had Michael cast him out of heaven and into hell, and the impact twisted his once beautiful form into that of a hideous creature, which is a projection of his inner sadism in monstrous ways." From the demonic paradise. After the fall, he went insane and is now the demon responsible for violence. Pythias. According to demonology, Pythias is one of the rulers of hell and is the demon responsible for fraud. He is known to command 12 demons of the Malebranche, a group of strong demons that guard the 8th circle of hell. Satan himself created the Malebranche. However, the demons answer to Pythias. The demon is said to resemble a snake and has a mane around his head with, quote, "a multitude of blasphemous tongues," according to the demonic paradise. It goes on to say, the first mane of tongues is also covered by a second layer, above which is made up of the legs of a centipede. The centipede legs skewer and pierce the fraudulent's body a number of times. Baal. Baal was among the high angels who joined Lucifer in his fall from heaven. According to demonology, his activity in heaven is unknown, though he is said to have been of equal ranks with Archangel Raphael. According to the book The Lesser Key of Solomon, Baal, also called Baal, is considered the ruler of the east side of hell, commanding 66 legions. Physically, Baal has 3 main forms: a cat, a toad, and a human. At times, he might appear as a mixture of each form. The demonology book Pseudomarchia Demonium, or False Monarch of Demons, by Dutch occultist Johann Weyer, mentions him having a rough-sounding hoarse voice. Quote, "Their first and principal king, which is of the power of the east, is called Baal, who when he is conjured up, appeareth with 3 heads, the first like a toad, the second like a man, the third like a cat. He speaketh with a hoarse voice, he maketh a man go invisible and wise. He hath under his obedience and rule 66 legions of devils." The book, The Lesser Key of Solomon, also mentions this. Quote, "The first principal spirit is a king ruling in the east called Baal. He maketh thee to go invisible. He ruleth over 66 legions of infernal spirits. He appeareth in diverse shapes, sometimes like a cat, sometimes like a toad, and sometimes like a man, and sometimes all these forms at once. He speaketh hoarsely." Baal comes from Baal, which had biblically been a title given to various pagan deities in the East. Belial. According to an ancient text of myths and folklore, Belial was once an angel, possibly a cherub, cast out with Lucifer and others after losing the war in heaven. Some texts call him hell's brightest fire, or the king of evil. Demonic Paradise notes that he is the 68th spirit in the Goetia and one of 4 crowned princes ruling over the north of hell. The Ars Goetia is a group of 72 very powerful demons who display exemplary strength and have their own legions. Belial is considered a patron of secrets, seduction, and domination, a vile spirit that revels in the pleasure and pain of the flesh. Before his fall, Belial was considered a very beautiful angel. According to the demonic paradise, quote, "Belial appeared in the form of a beautiful angel sitting in a chariot of fire and speaks with a comely voice. After his fall, he became the demon of lies and guilt and can induce any type of sins, especially those related to sex and lust." During the fight in heaven, he showed his great power by slaying numerous angels, and as a demon, he continued to slaughter large demonic armies that opposed him and the other kings of hell. Mephistopheles. Known simply as Mephisto, he is a messenger of the devil, whom the devil sends to bring corruption and foolishness to people. He is a demon who can assume many shapes, allowing him to blend in and charm people towards the devil. According to Faustian legend, German folklore on necromancy, Mephisto is trapped in hell to serve the devil. He craves to be important and recognized, and thus he is the demon summoned by power-hungry and corrupt human beings. In his form, he is described as, quote, a pale man with dark hair and very sharp features. From his pointed beard to his tapering fingernails and slanted eyebrows, the demon's features are at once delicate and menacing. His clothing is described as fine Renaissance clothing. He is a master of trickery and hatred. However, he hides all these behind an affable demeanor, appearing friendly, approachable, and charming. Amen. According to the demonic paradise, Amen is the seventh in the 72 demons of Ars Goetia, governing a legion of 40 demons. Amen appears as a wolf with a snake's tail that breathes fire, but can also appear as a man with a dog's teeth and a raven's head. The Pseudomonarchia Daemonum describes him as, quote, Amen is a great and mighty marquess, and cometh abroad in the likeness of a wolf, having a serpent's tail, vomiting flames of fire. When he putteth on the shape of man, he showeth dog's teeth, and a great head like a mighty nighthawk. He is the strongest prince of all others, and understandeth of all things past and to come. He procureth favor, and reconcileth both friends and foes, and rules 40 legions of devils. According to the mythologies around him, Amen had been an agile and highly intelligent angel in heaven, and it is believed that he retained much of this power when he was cast out of heaven. Levistus. Levistus is also known as the Lord of the Firth, ruler of Stygia, which according to Greek mythologies referred to the land around River Styx, a part of the underworld. He is a demon frozen in ice in his true form, which, according to the demonic paradise, was because of betraying the demon Asmodeus. However, Levistus can appear like a 6-foot-tall humanoid creature with very pale skin, dark hair, and a goatee. He also has entirely black eyes and pointed teeth. Dis. Dis, sometimes called the Dolorous One, was originally believed to be a separate demon from Satan. However, demonology states that he is the remains of the devil after his fall from heaven. Since he has no essence, Dis is a slobbering beast with degrading looks, at least according to the demonic paradise. He has 3 heads and a pair of bat-like wings that begin right under the chin. His wings, the mythology states, creates a cold wind when he beats them, which freezes the ice that surrounds him and other sinners in the 9th circle of hell. Scholars of ancient mythos consider Dis to have been a splendid being from whom all personality has been drained. Italian poet and demonologist Durante di Alighiero degli Aglieri, known as Dante, is well known for his comedic book Divine Comedy, or Dante's Inferno, describing his journey through the 9 circles of hell. He describes Dis as a slobbering demon. Beyond Abrahamic religion, we have demons from other cultures not tied or loosely tied to Christian, Islam, or Judaist belief. Chapter 5. Demons from Other Folklore. We might all be familiar with demons from well-known Abrahamic religions, but we also have other demons from lesser-known folklore. These demons might be as powerful or capable of great evil as the demons in the Bible or other religious texts. Let's look briefly at some of them and their evil power. Succubus. The succubus was a demon that emerged from Jewish text. According to mythology, she was known as Lilith and was the presumed first wife of Adam before Eve. However, she left the Garden of Eden and mated with the archangel Samael, after which she became a succubus. As a succubus, Lilith is a powerful seductress who loves to toy with men, often having sex with them at night as they slumber deeply. Her modern depictions show her with very long, wavy hair, silky smooth skin, and flawless curves, a far cry from the character's original depiction as hideous and deformed, standing shorter than the average person, with feet like raptors and faces like gargoyles. Incubus. An incubus is the opposite of the succubus, in that this is a male sex demon that attacks women at night. According to mythology.net, demons are incapable of reproducing on their own. Thus, the incubus collects semen from the succubus, which she collects from her sex with men and then impregnates a woman. The child born possesses demon characteristics thanks to the touch of the succubus and incubus. That child is called a cambion. Some scholars have speculated that the succubi and incubi could be the same creature, able to shape-shift between male and female forms depending on the sexual partner they choose. People visited by the succubus and incubus will often wake up tired and lethargic. Sometimes they will be awake during the visitation, resulting in anxiety and powerlessness during the encounter, even when they are awake. Popobawa. The Popobawa, which directly translates to batwing, is a demonic creature from Tanzanian and Zanzibari folklore. According to ThompsonSafaris.com, the earliest sighting of the Popobawa was in 1965 at Pemba Island, an island off mainland Tanzania. The creature is rumored to be a shapeshifter, able to take on both human and animal forms at will, and often visits homesteads at night. However, it can also visit during the day, though rarely. It is said to let off a sulfurous odor, which is how you know it is close, and attacks everyone, anally raping men and women. To prevent the Popobawa from revisiting you, you need to tell others about it. Otherwise, keeping it to yourself will often result in more attacks, with the creature staying longer each time, and the attacks getting more violent. The belief is so widespread that there was a great mass hysteria around the creature in 1995. The panic started from Pemba and spread to Unguja, then Zanzibar, and onwards to Dar es Salaam and other towns across Tanzania's coast. It remains the largest case of the Popobawa's mass hysteria to date, though there have been others. Chupacabra. The chupacabra monster is a creature in Latin American folklore. It is a monstrous creature that attacks animals and sucks their blood. Its name comes from the Spanish words chupar, to suck, and cabra, goat. Thus it translates to goat sucker. The chupacabras are hairless creatures, and early sightings of the creature reported that it stood upright and resembled a reptilian kangaroo with large red eyes. In 1995, they were blamed for attacks on goats and other domestic animals. However, scientists believe that the chupacabra could be coyotes that have severe cases of mange, a skin disease caused by mites that leads to itching, skin thickening, and hair loss on the affected animal. Rangda. Indonesia is rich in folklores of demons and angels and anything in between. One of the most terrifying demons in their folklore is the demon queen, Rangda. The demon is part of Balinese mythology and is a demon that eats children. To make it even scarier, Rangda does not travel alone. Instead, she leads an army of evil witches who are her weapon in fighting her polar opposite, Barong, the leader of good. According to mythology, Rangda is a nude old woman with long, unkempt hair and claws for fingers. Her face is horrifying, featuring fanged teeth, a stretch-out lower jaw, and a long protruding tongue. Her eyes also seem to pop out of their sockets. La Llorona. La Llorona is a Spanish word for weeping woman. She is part of Mexican folklore, originating in the southwest part of the Hispanic country. According to legend, she is a tall and thin spirit with long, flowing black hair, wearing a white gown. She is the spirit of a doomed mother known for drowning her children in a river or creek in a moment of madness. Thus, her spirit spends all its eternity searching for them in rivers and lakes at night. If she finds children along river banks, she drags them into the water to spend eternity with her. The Japanese Baku. The Japanese also have a wide variety of folklore and mythologies with strange creatures like the Japanese Baku. According to mythologies, the Baku are supernatural creatures created using spare pieces from other animals that were left over after the gods had created all animals. Thus, they will often have an elephant's trunk and tusks, but with the eyes of a rhinoceros, tail of a cow, and paws of a tiger, at least according to the Japanese Buddhist statuary. A photo dictionary of Japanese gods, goddesses, Shinto kami, creatures, and demons. Yet, scary as they are, the Japanese Baku creatures serve a noble purpose, as they are eaters of bad dreams and nightmares. Indeed, in many Japanese temples and shrines, you will often find images of the Baku placed under eaves as a protection from evil. Thus, the Japanese Baku is considered a good demon. Onai. According to Japanese folklore, the Onai, also pronounced Oni, are considered demons or ogres with human-like forms. The Onai have a giant stature, great strength, and a frightening appearance, possessing 1 or 2 horns and long locks of unkempt hair. They have various skin colors: black, green, blue, red, and yellow. Sometimes they are depicted as having a third eye on their forehead. In other depictions, they have a single eye, large mouths, and long canines, almost as long as elephant tusks. They also have claws on both their hands and feet, and carry around a large and heavy hexagonal club called a tetsubo. They are wrathful and uncontrollable creatures, often associated with disease, misfortune, and calamity. However, they are not intrinsically evil and can often be converted to Buddhism and do good. However, they are still generally disliked and feared. Conclusion. As we see, demons and their origins are very varied and wide. Some demons were angels, but are now more often forces of evil, and in most folklore, they urge or charm people into doing evil, often by playing into people's selfish psyche. But we also see that demons can possess a person and make them do evil, or they can use their frightening appearance to make a person do evil. On the other hand, like in Popobawa or the succubus or incubus mythos, the demon can do evil itself. Many of the well-known demons are from Abrahamic religious texts, and indeed, the king of all evil, Satan, is here. But we see that evil has often been something that many cultures have contended with, and thus have found their ways of depicting it. I trust that this book provided you with the knowledge you need to know about what many people and cultures believe to be the embodiment of evil. Stay safe and away from evil. The end. You have just finished listening to Demons, Myth, Legends, and History, written by KIV Books, narrated by Tom Chandler. This audiobook production is copyright 2023 KIV Books, all rights reserved.